CTV News with Caroline Van Vlartigen.
Good evening. A 22-year-old man has died after being stabbed inside a Walmart in Montreal North. It happened shortly after 4 p.m. yesterday at the Walmart at Henri Bourassa and La Cordaire. Police say several people were fighting when the man was stabbed, and the attackers then fled before police could arrive. The victim later died of his injuries in hospital. Police say he is the 9th murder victim of the year. And Montreal police have arrested a 20-year-old man in connection with the stabbing death of another 22-year-old in August of last year. That arrest closed one of 6 unsolved homicides in the city last year. Well, there are still many questions after the death of a 3-year-old girl over the weekend in LaSalle. Eva Ciampini died after the inflatable structure that she and others were playing in took off into the air on Sunday. Her death has raised concerns about the structures and the apparent lack of oversight and safety. Here's Matt Gilmore.
There's a growing memorial of stuffed toys and flowers here at Willette Park. Community members and people who were here on Sunday have been coming throughout the day to pay their respect to 3-year-old Eva Ciampini. Some of the people we spoke to off camera say they're still traumatized by what they witnessed over the weekend. This is a tight-knit community, and many have been coming to this annual event for years. They say the 50-kilometer-an-hour winds came up out of nowhere, sweeping the bouncy castle into the air and blowing over tents and barricades. They say people were just starting to pack up to leave because they could see a storm coming from the distance, but it was still blue skies overhead when the wind gusts hit. Now their thoughts have turned to little Ava's family. A GoFundMe has already raised more than $350,000. CTV News reached out to the organizer of the fundraiser, but did not hear back. We've also received a statement from the church that organized Sunday's event. It reads in part, "I invite all the faithful to join our hearts in prayer for the little girl Eva Ciampini. May she rest in peace. We are deeply saddened by the news of the passing of this 3-year-old girl. Our thoughts go out to her parents and grandparents in this time of grief. We pray for the little Eva Ciampini. Rest in peace. She is an angel." The accident has also raised questions about whether these inflatable play structures should be better regulated. The body that oversees construction says they're currently exempt from the building code. We spoke to another inflatables company that was not involved in the accident on Sunday, who told us the industry standard is to use 42 or 48-inch long spikes to secure inflatable structures to the ground and to deflate them when winds are above 25 kilometers per hour. But he says there are no rules enforcing those standards, and he says it's time for tougher rules.
Some sort of guidelines should be put in place so that it standardizes the industry. You know, if you want to operate inflatable games, you must follow certain guidelines, and you know, the minimum should be put in place, that's for sure.
There is a coroner's investigation underway into the circumstances that led to this tragic accident. We still don't have any details about the kind of inflatable structure that was used or how it was strapped down. Matt Gilmore, CTV News.
Well, in the interest of safety, changes are coming to some school zones in Rosemont-La Petite Patrie. The borough wants to make them safer for children by reducing the number of cars on certain streets. Here's Angela McKenzie.
Here in Rosemont-La Petite Patrie, there are plans in the works to make streets safer near schools. Borough Mayor François Limoges says the key is to have fewer cars on certain residential streets like Dandurand.
Dandurand, there's 3 schools, many daycare centers, and a few parks. And there's 4,300 cars a day. It's way too much for the nature of the street.
The borough plans to start with 3 school zones this year that include 5 elementary schools. It will reconfigure several nearby streets. Some will become one-way, including Dandurand, which will change direction multiple times.
You can go home, you can go to school, you can go to your local business, there's no problem. But you won't be able to use the street to cross the entire neighborhood.
Some streets that are already one-way will now send cars in the opposite direction, such as Henri Julien in Little Italy between Mozart and Bellechasse. Montreal boroughs began increasing safety measures near schools in the years following the death of Maria Lehenkovska. The 7-year-old girl was struck and killed by a driver on her way to school in 2022 in the Ville-Marie borough. Limoges says his borough has already reduced speed limits and has added speed bumps. He believes reconfiguring streets is the next logical step. For some residents, the change is welcome.
This district, there's a daycare right here, so it's going to be safer for the daycare.
Je pense que c'est toujours bien qu'il y ait moins d'autos autour des écoles.
It's always good when there are fewer cars near schools, says this woman. But Limoges admits the plan will also have critics who will call this another move by boroughs run by Projet Montréal to get rid of cars.
We're not anti-cars. We just don't want the cars to cut through the entire neighborhood to get a shortcut.
Meantime, the borough plans to make similar changes to its other school zones over the next 3 years. Angela McKenzie, CTV News.
A Joliet trucking company is offering a $50,000 reward in the hopes of recovering a stolen trailer. Thieves broke into the yard of a truck terminal in South Shore Delson and quickly found a trailer carrying hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of aluminum. They stole the truck, disabled the GPS tracker, and took off with the merchandise. The missing truck was found later that day, but there's still no sign of the trailer or the aluminum. The company says it's offering a reward because of the rise in the theft of metals.
Well, you know, they're organized. They've been around for a while. It's been a problem in the industry, especially since the price of those metals have skyrocketed in the past, I would say, year. So they're billets. They're aluminum billets, and they are sold to scrap metal yards, and then they are transformed in order to lose all identification, and then they're sold at large.
Montreal police are urging families to check on the final resting places of their loved ones. It comes after 2 people were charged with robbing several funeral homes and cemeteries in Montreal and Laval, among other places. Police allege that André Gustave and Christina Lubunakis broke into niches for columbariums to steal items left with the ashes of the deceased. During the investigation, police seized stolen jewelry and now want to return it to the families. A Pointe Claire woman says she's lost the early morning bus she relied on for years. The STM admits it made a mistake, but says a fix won't come anytime soon. Here's Laurence Bisson-Dupré.
Janor has had the same morning routine for more than 25 years. The daycare educator walks 60 meters from her home to the 211 bus heading east so she can arrive at her job downtown for 7 a.m. That was until May 18th.
Now with the REM changes, they took away the 540 bus.
Nearly 80 routes were modified when the REM launched in May. The 5:40 a.m. bus she relied on disappeared. The earliest bus is now almost an hour later.
Since May 18th, that's when they started all the new bus schedules in the West Island.
Now Orr's husband drives her each morning to a different bus stop about 1.5 kilometers away so she can catch the 411 Express. For Orr, the service no longer matches the price of a monthly transit pass.
It's going up to $110 now, starting July. The whole point of having a bus pass is to be able to access public transportation.
Orr brought her concerns to the transit agency. In its response, it acknowledged a problem. It writes that insufficient attention was given to maintaining the service span of the current Line 211.
Basically, they admit that they messed up, but nothing's going to be done before January.
In a statement to CTV News, an STM spokesperson says the changes were made based on the needs of residents within the agency's financial capacity, adding the line could be adjusted as it continues to assess the network changes. That offers little comfort for Orr. She says what used to be a short walk to the bus stop has become a daily headache. Laurence Brisson-Dubreuil, CTV News.
Quebec's latest French language report shows that more than half of the recommendations made to reverse the decline in French in everyday life have not been implemented. Sweeta Rassi has more.
Commissioner Benoit Dubreuil presented his annual report on the state of French in Quebec. This time, he also took stock of the past 3 years, following up on previous recommendations made to the government. Here's what he found. Out of the 31 recommendations, less than half were either applied or showed satisfactory progress.
I think the main explanation was that we came up with the idea that we needed a paradigm shift, that we needed a new way to look at language policy. So a lot of the recommendations that we came up with were really targeted on departments that were not used to think of that they had a role in language policy.
He also pointed to 3 main forces driving the decline of French: economic integration, immigration patterns, and cultural influences pulling young Quebecers toward English media and social circles. He says the solution requires efforts from every sector.
What we need is a government that works with local authorities to mobilize business, to mobilize schools, to mobilize colleges and universities, trade unions, and different associations.
He also recommends an increase of financial aid through a loan system, allowing immigrants to take French classes full-time. He says this will help with integration. Dubreuil also says with a provincial election on the horizon, he would want to see the next government have an ambitious language policy. Sweeta Rassi, CTV News, Quebec City.
Alberta's Premier Danielle Smith was in Quebec City today, pushing for closer ties between the two provinces on issues like energy and autonomy. She met with business leaders and the Premier. Geneviève Beauchemin has that.
Alberta Premier Danielle Smith came here to Quebec with a message about forging a closer relationship with the province. Indeed, she had a bit of a term for it. She called it Alberbec or perhaps Queberta. That's probably the one the Quebec Premier, Christine Fréchette, would prefer. She came here talking about the fact that there should be closer relationships when it comes to trade, when it comes to manufacturing, but also energy. Now, these are two provinces that are facing in October votes that could potentially pave the way to a referendum. And so the provinces have a lot in common. In fact, Smith said that they have more in common than not, though they have had their differences. But here's what she had to say to a group of business leaders here in Quebec City.
I'm here to show all Albertans, especially those who feel otherwise, that Canada can work for all of us. And that is why I'm here today. I am here to build new linkages as our two provinces, Alberta and Quebec, Queberta, I guess we're calling it, truly model the ideals our country was built on.
Now, when it comes to picking up tips about a potential referendum, Smith says that she's looking more to Brexit, the lessons of the UK, rather than Quebec, to talk to people in Alberta about the Remain option within Canada. But she also talked about the fact that there's a lot of wisdom in some of the legislation that Quebec has brought in to have more autonomy from Ottawa. Geneviève Beauchemin, CTV News, Quebec City.
And Quebec Solidaire has chosen another candidate for the upcoming provincial election. Gisèle Poudingina will be running in the riding of Rosemont-La Petite Patrie. She has a background as director of the nonprofit group Collectif Social, which aims to prevent sexual violence.
Quebec Solidaire is a party that I think embodies all the values that I have and that I try to embody myself. So when we're talking about solidarity, when we're talking about thinking about the environment and how we can better work together to build a better society for everybody. So that's really a reason why I wanted to get involved. And also here in Rosemont, this is where I live, so it just made sense to me to do that job right here at home.
And that riding is currently held by Vincent Marissel, the former Quebec Solidaire MNA, who is now sitting as an independent. Earlier this year, Marissel announced he would be leaving politics at the end of his mandate. Well, Mount Royal's famous cross is about to go dark for about a year as it undergoes a major renovation. The nearly 110-foot illuminated structure needs to be completely rewired, and its base needs some work. So at a cost of $3.7 million, the work will begin this fall and continue into 2027 and possibly even 2028. A facelift of sorts to ensure Montreal's cross, now just over 100 years old, remains a symbol of the city's identity. Félix Auger-Aliassime's exciting run at the French Open is over.
Flavio Kaboli is a Grand Slam semi-finalist.
Auger-Aliassime won the first set of his quarterfinal match today, but lost the next three to Italy's Flavio Caboli. He is now the first Canadian to reach the quarterfinals of all 4 Grand Slam tournaments, and his international success is helping grow the popularity of tennis back at home. Here's Olivia O'Malley.
The outdoor tennis season is underway, and more Quebecers are picking up their rackets than ever before. This is the first time Pierre Bazinet's played in 5 years.
We have an office close by, and it was a discussion that we had last year. Oh, there's plenty of tennis court over there, we should play.
According to new data from Tennis Canada, participation across the country is on the rise. 6 million Canadians hit the courts last year, an increase of over 1 million since 2023. Quebec is the province with the highest participation. 18% of Quebecers played tennis last year.
We have some great athletes that are from Quebec that are performing really well on the international scene. So I think that does help maybe inspire some kids and even older people to want to pick up a racket.
National Bank Open Tournament Director Valérie Tétrault is having a hit at IGA Stadium's center court. This is where the prestigious competition is held in August. The men play here this year, but 1 year ago, a sold-out crowd of 12,000 fans watched a star be born. 18-year-old Canadian Vicky Mboko was crowned the women's singles champion.
During those 2 weeks during the summer, everyone all of a sudden is interested by tennis.
Tennis Canada says the sport has grown in popularity with children aged 12 to 17. Registration is up for its own programs.
It brings more accessible equipment for kids to learn the sport. And with the type of rackets we have and the balls that you can learn with, you can be playing tennis in 5 or 10 minutes. It really is that easy.
It's known as a summer game, but Tennis Canada says it's aiming to make it more accessible in the winter.
Some of our focus right now is going to infrastructure, make sure that we can basically, maybe by adding some bubbles, just create more opportunities to play tennis year-round.
Especially as 41% of Quebecers say they are likely to play a match in the coming year. Olivia O'Malley, CTV News.
Still ahead, a recommendation to prevent seniors from taking too many medications.
Download the CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
Increasing number of abandoned buildings.
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. CTVMontreal.ca, your home for news.
A group of researchers at McGill and the University of Toronto say almost half of Canadian seniors are taking one or more potentially inappropriate medications, and they're recommending that seniors in Canada get an annual review of the prescription drugs they're taking. The researchers found that the number of medications people 65 and over are taking have been steadily increasing, and 2 in 3 seniors are now taking 5 or more prescription drugs, while some are taking as many as 15 or even 20. The group says this overprescribing can cause adverse effects or even be dangerous, and they say the yearly reviews could be done during a routine visit with a doctor, nurse practitioner, or even a pharmacist.
It could be during a routine visit when they're seeing the patient. Sometimes if someone's taking 15 or 20 medications, as you can imagine, it might take more than one visit to go over the medications and figure out actually what each one is being taken for and learn which ones are helping the patient and which one might be causing them side effects that are potentially dangerous or a nuisance.
And the group says cutting down on unnecessary prescriptions could also save the healthcare system about $1 billion a year. There's a link to where you can have a medication review done and more on this story on our CTV Montreal website. Well, June is ALS Awareness Month, and the fatal disease eventually takes away a person's ability to walk, speak, and even breathe. About 4,000 Canadians are affected, including 600 people here in Quebec. The ALS Society of Quebec says 8 in 10 people die within 5 years of diagnosis. Amanda Tam has been living with ALS since being diagnosed at just 20 years of age.
A lot of young people don't really know what it is besides the ice bucket challenge. So I just want to share what it actually is.
And roughly 1,000 new cases of ALS are diagnosed in Canada each year. Well, many parents are looking for ways to keep their kids safe on smartphones while also allowing them to access the benefits of technology. As Kimberly Johnson reports, a mother in Ottawa says she may have found a solution.
What Teo Knight loves about his cell phone is being able to listen to his favorite music.
I just need headphones in my phone just to listen to my own music.
And while this Android phone may seem like any other, it's actually set up in a way that limits his access to certain content. No social media, no app store, and no internet browser. Just the ability to call, text, and access Spotify.
We want them to have access to music. We want them to be able to text us when soccer practice ends early. That doesn't mean that we want them watching endless videos off by themselves kind of thing.
He has a playlist that's for like his before soccer that pumps him up.
It's part of a pilot project started by parent Anne Fizette, which she has dubbed Boom Track.
I was just trying to figure out how can I create something that would satisfy him and what he needs in terms of like the developmental milestones that he's hitting, and at the same time protect him.
She purchased an Android phone and when setting it up used a management device on her computer to control what gets placed on the phone. It's similar to what workplaces will put on employees' phones to restrict some apps or abilities.
This isn't something incredibly new. It's just we haven't used it in terms of for kids.
Still, one tech expert warns the smartphone technology still exists under the surface of the phone, and parents should be cautious.
Any tech-savvy kid can go online and figure out how to bypass them and regain access to app stores and browsers and other features.
Today, Fizette says that she has nearly a dozen parents participating in the project. She's currently covering all of the setup costs, but hopes to expand this to a business if there's enough interest.
It feels like I'm actually part of everything and I'm not missing anything.
Kimberly Johnson, CTV News.
And still ahead, a musical blast from the past, but on a new platform and with new talent.
Weather brought to you by Gratian Scaff's 50th anniversary gift event. Get a complete second pair and sunglasses as a gift.
Well, we have some rain headed our way, but first, Thursday is going to bring more sunshine and even warmer temperatures. Comparable to today, however, there will be humidity as a factor. We'll get to that in a moment, but today's daytime high was 29, certainly warmer than the seasonal 22, and just a few degrees shy of breaking that record set in 1967, which is 30.6 degrees. Here's what we're forecasting overnight. We'll see clear skies, which we hold on into the early morning hours, mostly sunny to start. Into the afternoon, we do see a few clouds move in, calling for a mix of sun and clouds throughout the day. We could see some peaks of sunshine. However, into the evening, clouds move in, and that is ahead of a system that is going to be bringing us some rain, and it looks like it'll be affecting Montreal late day or late afternoon on Friday. So something to consider if you had plans to be out and about. An umbrella will be necessary, but we're not talking about major rainfall there. Clear skies overnight and a low of 15 degrees, so a little bit warmer than we've been dealing with lately. So maybe some air conditioning tonight or a light fan or a light blanket to sleep comfortably. We start our day off with some sunshine and 17 degrees being our wake-up temperature, a little mix of sun and clouds throughout the afternoon with peaks of sunshine occasionally. And then on top of that, we're seeing 29 degrees is our daytime high, feeling like 32 thanks to the humidity, and we will be dealing with winds gusting from the southwest up to 40 kilometers an hour. Here's a look at our long-range forecast, and what I hinted at off the top is that we do have some more rain headed our way. So only 1 millimeter on Friday, along with a high of 28 degrees and not much sunshine in the forecast there. Saturday, we are expecting around 13 millimeters of rain, 22 being the daytime high. That is a good day to stay indoors and maybe watch one of your favorite TV series. On Sunday, we're looking at a mix of sun and clouds, holding on to that 22 degrees. And then we see the temperatures get warm once again. Sunny on Monday with a high of 26. On Tuesday, we're looking at 28 with a mix of sun and clouds. And looks like we're finally hitting 30 degrees on Wednesday, June the 10th, calling for a mix of sun and clouds.
Well, music lovers will be happy to hear that the popular Québécois music video channel Musique Plus is returning, but not to the airwaves.
Musique Plus, la télé de l'heure.
TikTok announced on Wednesday that the pop culture and music channel will be back via the social media app. Musique Plus on TikTok promises to feature a new generation of VJs and creators with the goal of showcasing Quebec's creative voices. The relaunch of Musique Plus on TikTok begins June 11th. And that will do it for us tonight. For the latest news, you can listen to the Andrew Carter Morning Show at 5 on CJAD 800. And of course, you can always head to ctvnewsmontreal.ca for extended coverage, including more on the unsolved murders in the city last year. Thanks for staying up late with us and joining us. Have a good night. See you again tomorrow.